The thousands of Jewish immigrants that came to Baltimore beginning in the late 19th century needed to eat. They bought the staples for their unique dishes from the grocery stores lining Lombard Street, including picking live chickens for their pots. But times changed, and grocers started selling sandwiches. Lombard Street became known as Corned Beef Row, and, well, the rest is history. And we'll take a look at that history with Ted Merwin, the man who literally wrote the book on Jewish delis.
Brisket, because my grandmother used to make the most mouth-watering brisket, and so when I eat a brisket sandwich, it reminds me of her.
But we'll focus much more on where the Jewish deli is right now. From Atman's in Baltimore, a resolutely traditional deli, to the whimsically named Call Your Mother in D.C., which bills itself as a Jewish deli, you'll experience the full spectrum of takes on this classic concept. And given how tough a business Jewish delis are, it gotta be a little meshuggah to own one. We'll try to find out why these folks strive to keep the tradition alive. I'll be joined by Ilan Kaplan.
Is kugel Jewish lasagna?
And Marcella Shepard.
Shalom, y'all.
As we eat our way on a Jewish deli road trip. I'm at the Jewish Museum of Maryland. I'm here with Ted Merwin, and he wrote an incredible book with an incredible title, which was, Ted?
Was Pastrami on Rye, an Overstuffed History of the Jewish Deli.
But you do a lot of other kind of writing as well.
I do. I'm actually the senior writer for the Jewish Federations of North America now. So I write speeches, and I write op-ed articles, and I write a lot of different kinds of things about Jewish community.
Ted, I think you're kind of a big picture kind of a guy. So I want to ask you, what makes a Jewish deli Jewish?
Actually, it's partly the food that's served there, and it's also in equal measure, if not more, it's the ambiance, it's the atmosphere of the place, which is typically very relaxed and convivial, in which people really kind of feel very comfortable. And Jews, I think, really were used to being stereotyped in many ways in America. And so I think the deli developed partly as a space where Jews could kind of let their hair down and be outside of the gaze of the majority culture and really kind of be amongst themselves in a very casual environment. In many ways, it was a place where different kinds of Jews could come together. Remember, we were saying Jews came from all different countries in Eastern Europe, and they came here and they were all comfortable in the space of the deli. They were coming with different cultures, with different languages. They were, for the most part, united by the fact that the majority of them spoke Yiddish, but they came with different foodways and different cultures, and they came to America, and the deli became a place where I think a kind of unified American Jewish identity started to emerge. And really having the deli be a kind of almost substitute for the synagogue. I talk in my book about the deli as a kind of surrogate or substitute synagogue, where Jews who were not so religiously inclined could still have the enjoyment and pleasure of being part of a more secular Jewish community.
And don't you think that there are a lot of non-Jews who go to Jewish delis?
Sure. I think the majority of the clientele for Jewish delis nowadays is people who are not Jewish.
Wow.
Because they're in parts of the country where there are lots of different people who are living there. And Jews, in many ways, I think, have really gravitated to all kinds of different cuisines, you know, to Chinese food and Japanese food and you know, everything. Of course, things are different now, because now we're much more attentive to the fact that there are Jews who come from all different backgrounds. And even though the majority of American Jews today are descended from that great wave of immigration at the turn of the 20th century, we know now that Jews come from all different countries and all different races and all different ethnicities. And so the nature of Jewish food is really changing. Everything's become sort of a fusion of different gastronomic styles. And that's true in the deli, and that's true in terms of people's tastes as a whole.
So lots of things have changed. What's the future for Jewish delis?
I think they will always exist in some form or another. I think they're changing a lot as tastes change, as there's more and more health consciousness. And so nowadays you see in a lot of Jewish delis, you see a whole section of the menu for vegan and vegetarian food. You see wraps and paninis. You see a lot of Middle Eastern, Israeli type of food like falafel and hummus. And so it's really becoming kind of a smorgasbord in a way of all different kinds of foods that are connected in some way often to Jewish tradition, but not necessarily to that Eastern European Jewish heritage in particular.
And remember, Jewish delis are truly something to Kvell about.